Hello, coming to you live from my garden in northwest London, and here we go. It's my first day of sharing something on a live stream. Yesterday was a live stream, it was a live stream about live streams, so not really counting that. Let's call this day one. And I want to talk really quickly about making amends. I guess what I've been thinking about in my life is how dispersed my energy is, and how many tabs I've got open in my brain, how many different things I'm thinking about, and how many different things I've got on a sort of to-do list or would like to-do list, or oh, I need to get that done, but there's thousands and thousands of things on this list, and it's exhausting. So I've been looking at energy accounting recently, which is when you assess how you spend your time and your money and your energy, your thoughts, how are you spending your focus? Because it's not infinite. You don't have infinite capacity to think about everything and to handle everything. So I've been looking at what I'm focusing on and how I want to reassess what takes up my time and my attention. And one of the things that's been coming up for me is energy cycles that are open from years ago, thoughts that keep coming up into my head, and I've never thought about it this way before. I have these thoughts, reoccurring thoughts about people from my past, ex-boyfriends, ex-friends, that I used to dismiss. I used to think, oh, I'm having that thought again, never mind. And now I realize it's like, oh, I'm having that thought again because it's asking for my attention, because something there is not done, something there is not dealt with, and it's like an energy leak. It's leaching my focus, my energy, my attention. And it's a place that I actually, as I come into greater alignment with who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world, there's things that I did in the past that I don't feel 100% right about. And it's not costing anybody except for me. So for me, what I want to do right now, and what I've started to do, is to reach out to people from my past where there's a piece that I want to own about an interaction that didn't go how I wanted it to go. It's not a place where I have to be right and they have to be wrong. It's just a place where I didn't show up the way I want to show up in the world. So I get to go back to somebody and say, hey, I've been thinking about this thing that happened and I just want to make amends for this part. I shouted, or I swore, or I said this, or I did that, and that's not how I want to show up. I don't want to treat you like that. It doesn't have to be that they were right. Okay, don't get caught up there. So it could be a place where I'm angry with someone. Hey, I'm angry with you and I'm sorry that I shouted. Or I'm angry with you, but I didn't want to shout at you like that. That's not how I want to treat you. And for me, going and having that exchange, or at least offering something to that person, has me feel like I can have a bit more closure and shut down some of these cycles so that I don't have to keep feeling that way. I don't have to leave things that way in my mind. I can make a new ending. The ending's not done. It doesn't have to be the end if I want to go back and have a new conversation. So there's two things I want to say there. One is, I have done this in the last couple of days. I've spoken to 3 ex-partners, ex-lovers, and I've said things that I've thought where I've had a little regret, and it's really valuable to share that with somebody. And a friend who I had a regret. I didn't feel right with how I treated her. And the result has been really positive, actually. So just so you know, it can be a positive result, going back and talking to someone and explaining where you did something you weren't happy with, right? So that's step one. The other thing I want to say is I was having a chat with a client about this earlier today, and she said, well, what if you can't have that conversation with that person? They're not available physically or emotionally, or it could just cause distress, or they might come back and be like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have, blah. And it could cause more negative interaction. Okay, well, there's other ways of dealing with this, and one of them is called unsent letters. where you can write down what you want to say to that person. Like, if they were able to receive it, what would you say? If they were open, if you had their full attention, what would you like to say? And just write the letter. You can read it out as well, and find a place of more closure, so you can have that energy back. This is not for anybody else except for you. So I'm enjoying doing that in my life. Yeah, making amends. So the other thing I wanted to say about making amends before we end is, it doesn't have to be, it's not exactly apologizing, and it's not taking full responsibility for everything in a situation. You really are just naming the part that you don't feel 100% right about. So I'm just going to invite you to have a think, if you want to, about who in your life you've had an exchange with where you didn't show up fully the way that you want to. You didn't say something that you could have said, that would have been honest and helpful, or you said something that was unnecessary, or you said it in a way that wasn't, 100% brilliant and loving and calibrated. And yeah, and it's up to you. Do you want to go and have a word with someone? Do you want to have a conversation? Is there a place that you can be brave and say, you're willing to let go of who's right and who's wrong, and step your ego off that platform? Forget about that. That's a separate thing. And just say, this is a piece that I want to own. And then you get to feel yourself showing up as that person. You get to feel that you're really clear with yourself, and you're really honest about who you are and who you want to be. It feels really good. I recommend it. Try it. And let me know what to talk about tomorrow. Mwah!